let's be honest. When your roof needs work, finding a contractor you can actually trust can feel, well, pretty overwhelming. So today, we're going to cut right through all that noise. We're breaking down a new guide to the top roofers in Missouri and Kansas to give you a clear roadmap for making a really smart decision.
All right, first things first, let's talk about that initial hurdle. If you've ever typed "roofer near me" into a search engine, you know that feeling, right? That instant wave of, whoa, where do I even start?
And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about the thing that protects your single biggest investment, your home. The stakes are just incredibly high. Choosing the wrong company can lead to a whole world of headaches, from bad repairs to even bigger problems down the road.
So to help us find our way, we're going to use a 2025 guide that's already done a lot of the homework. Now, it's important to think of this guide less like a definitive, final answer, and more like a really well-researched map that can point us in the right direction.
Yeah, our whole goal here is pretty simple, really. We're going to take all the info from this guide and turn it into a practical, actionable framework you can use, whether you're dealing with sudden storm damage or just a roof that's seen better days.
So, who actually made the list? Let's do a quick rundown of the 7 companies the guide highlights. But hang tight, because right after we meet the players, we're getting to the part that really matters. Not just who to call, but how to choose.
Okay, so the guide kicks things off with these 4 major players: American Roofing Experts, Aspen Contracting, Bordner Home Improvement, and Blue Rain Roofing and Restoration. You've probably seen their trucks around, right? These are definitely some of the big, recognizable names in the Kansas City metro.
And finishing up the list of 7, we've got Pyramid Roofing, Integrity Roofing, and Christian Brothers Roofing. So, there you have it, the 7 names. But a list of names is just, well, a list. How do we actually use this information?
Okay, now this is where the guide starts to get really useful. This table breaks down what each company specializes in. Got an emergency leak with water coming in? The guide says, hey, check out Blue Rain. Looking for financing options? It's pointing you towards Bordner. Think of this as your first filter to narrow down the options based on what you actually need right now.
Okay, this is where we get to the most important part of this whole thing. We've seen the who, but the how is what truly matters. Because look, having a list of names is fine, but knowing how to properly check them out, that's everything.
And this right here is golden. It takes all that vague do-your-homework advice and boils it down into a super simple 5-step checklist. This process should be your go-to for any contractor you're thinking about, whether they're on this list or not.
All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we? The cost. What's this actually going to set you back? The guide tackles this head-on.
So the guide gives us a ballpark figure, somewhere between $8,000 and $15,000 for a typical roof replacement in the Kansas City area. Now, obviously, that's a pretty big window. It's going to depend on the size of your house, the materials you pick, but it at least gives you a realistic starting point for your budget.
You know, especially here in the Midwest, with our wild weather, you're not just dealing with the roof, you're dealing with insurance, and that can be a whole other headache. So the big question is, will a roofer actually help you with that mess?
And the answer, thankfully, is a big yes. This is absolutely a key service you should be looking for. The guide makes it clear that a lot of the best local companies have tons of experience working with insurance adjusters, and that can save you a mountain of stress and paperwork.
Okay, picture this. A big hailstorm rolls through. You go outside, you look up, and you see a few dings on your shingles. No big deal, right? You can put that off for a few months. Or can you? How urgent is it really?
And this quote from the guide really hits home why you can't wait. What looks like a tiny problem on the outside can be a secret doorway for moisture. That moisture gets into your attic, and before you know it, you're dealing with mold, rot, and way more expensive repairs inside your house. The takeaway here is crystal clear. Don't wait.
Okay, so we've looked at the names, we've walked through how to check them out. Let's boil this all down into one final, super simple checklist to help you make your decision. This is it, your final checklist. First, being licensed and insured, that is absolutely non-negotiable. It's your safety net. Second, strong local reviews. That's your proof that they do good work. Third, a clear, easy-to-understand warranty. That protects your investment. And finally, it all comes back to you. Do they solve your specific problem, whether it's an emergency, a tight budget, or a huge project?
At the end of the day, this guide, this whole breakdown, it's all about giving you the tools you need to feel confident. So I'll leave you with this question. It's not about who's on some list. It's about what matters most to you. Is it speed? Is it price? Is it perfect craftsmanship? Knowing your #1 priority is the final step to making the perfect choice for your home.